members, the first year students are who they have joined in just like a week or two before, so they wouldn't be knowing that we already had one online debate. So it was on a topic called social media awareness, social media activism, and in that particular topic, we had called a research scholar and Professor Akshat Lal sir. So what happened in that debate was sir wasn't happy with the kind of speeches and debates that were presented by our club members. So he was the one who guided us and told us that we should proceed towards guiding you all in a way so that you could be aware of the basics, uh, basic conditions and basic guidance, so that you could be better off in your debates. So that would be the first part of it. I would explain you the basic rules of debating, the preparation part of it, the speech part of it, and I wouldn't be the only one. Few organizers else would also be helping you out in that. I About me, I participated in school and district level debates. There are also people among us who would have participated in. Uh, sorry. So, Arya, uh, you're asking about what's the topic? It's basics of debating. So I would be telling you the basics, nothing much more. And if you have certain points, if you have participated in debates at the state or national level, or even in your schools, if you have participated in any kind of public speaking, and you have that, you have participated in your certain experiences, you are free to share. So once I complete my part, I will call one of the organizers, and after that, you can also share your experiences so that it could be more of an interactive session rather than being a simple monologue. Moreover, I would also like to ask you certain questions regarding how the club shall proceed, because we have a filtration process. I will brief you about that after my workshop ends, and at the end part of the workshop, we are going to talk about all of it. And we're going to also ask you certain questions. How would you like your offline debates? When would it, and what would be the most convenient timing and all of that? So we will be doing that. Any questions before we start in like in 2 minutes? Anyone?
When we meet, hello,
Yes, yes.
sir, when we will meet offline to interact with you and
Yes, yes. About the
new concept
yes, yes.
about
Hmm. I'll be answering that. About the offline thing is that a lot of students, like here you can see around 30 students are present. So what happens in offline debates is, for example, I organize a debate that's offline. So what would happen in that condition would be a person, an individual person is going to take 5 minutes for completing a debate. So that's the bare minimum. Speeches plus questions. So that would take us to about like 150, 150 minutes. So 150 minutes is like one and uh, more than 2 hours. So we wouldn't be able to arrange rooms for that long. So what we are going to do is we are going to organize online debates and online extempores for the first part. So and whoever would perform great in it, or whoever seems to be serious in the debating club, they would be called in and filtered out to the next group. And from there we can choose out serious candidates from non-serious ones, and the serious ones could be called for offline debates. That's how we are. That's what the organizers have decided. So uh, this.
so sir, I think the online meeting about this debates cannot be appreciated because most of them uses internet or
Yes,
something
yes.
and
I would be coming towards that. So, look, the major part of debating is not about you being proficient in facts. If you are well in expression, if you are well, and there would be cross questions. You couldn't just type in on Google or on the internet and just get your answers. If the last debate that occurred, I knew a few of them used internet, or few of them just wrote it down and read that. So there's a difference between you speaking in the first place, thinking and speaking it, and you just reading a script or reading it from your copy. So that gets noticed, and for that marks get deducted. So those people didn't get filtered in for the next round. So currently, this is the most convenient way that I'm figuring out. If you have other ways, you're very well to inform, but currently I'm not able to because there are too many students. That's the thing. If we combine both the groups, there are about 120 students. So filtering them out, the serious and the non-serious one, the only way is online. So uh, I know it's the main crux of debating goes away the moment we say we get into online debatings, but uh, this is the best way I could come up with. But offline debates would be organized. That is something that I can assure you. I hope you get your answer, Gaurav. Got your answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so enough number of students have joined in. So again, I would like to tell you the people who have joined in newly. So earlier also we had a debate. It was on the topic social media activism. Is it a voice for the voiceless or an elitist entitlement? And in that debate, we filtered out certain students who performed pretty well. So that is how the course of the club goes. You perform well in offline or online screenings, and if you perform well, you get into the serious candidates. If you do not perform well, you can just come into the other event. Like we again organize a debate competition open for all, and you can participate in that. And if you perform well, you would be in the main group, so that the serious and the non-serious students could be filtered out. It's not about your abilities; it's more about your seriousness towards the club. Because if non-serious students get into the club, what would happen is they would waste your time and because our time as well. So
So the non-seriousness candidate, serious candidate gets chance to prove himself for the next time, so that
yes, yes, yes.
the process can be
Yeah, the filtration process keeps on happening every month, so that's how it happens. Uh, Gaurav and everyone else. So I would be starting off currently. So I would expect everyone to close their mics and their cameras. Most of the cameras are off, so that wouldn't be a problem. So look, about the same thing. Akshat sir told us that you need to guide students about the basics of debating because a lot of the basics weren't clear. So people were basically ending up in expressing speeches rather than debates. So I would start off. So look, what are debates? Debates are basically look, they are speeches on a particular topic, and you're going to express your views, your facts, and whatever you have gathered information about that topic in your speech. But what differentiates it from a speech is that in a speech you're allowed to take the middle path. You can speak the positives, the negatives, the suggestions, the goods and the so all of that you can express it in a speech. But when it comes to a debate, you would be either for of the motion or against of the motion. The biggest problem that happened in the last debate was that a lot of students were taking the middle path. So they were they were giving points even in for of the topic and against of the topic. So that is not how it takes place in debates. You need to be very sure that either you are in the for of the motion or against the motion. So the topic was social media activism, a voice of the voiceless, a voice for the voiceless, or an elitist entitlement. So if you are for of the motion, you completely agree with the notion that it is gonna provide voice to the most marginalized sections of the society, and you're gonna be presenting all your facts in favor of it. When asked cross questions, you would be debating and fighting tooth and nail for the fact that it is really a net positive, even if it has certain weaknesses. Or even if your argument has certain weaknesses, your point is a net positive. It represents a net positive notion that the wrongs are smaller and the rights are way higher. So about that, we're going to proceed. So look, for a debate, you have three basic when you go for a debate. These are all through the help of my teacher. Of my school teacher. She has helped me a lot. So I've taken a lot of help from her in preparing this presentation. So, so look, basically you have three parts. The first part is your preparation part of the debate. The second part is the speech. That is the 4 minutes that you get to speak about that particular topic. And the third part is your cross question part, where your either organizing. ठीक है? It is a protest. This must be removed or this must be implemented. That's a protest. What is an activism? Making people aware of it. Like saying why are the farm bills good for the farmers or why are the farm bills bad for the farmers. That would come under basically your uh, activism. So this is very important that you differentiate between the words and be very sure what the topic demands. This happens a lot that people digress a lot. So go to whenever you get a topic, you will be getting a topic mostly by Monday. Group A would be getting a topic on Monday. So the new students, for mostly the first year students who are in Jam Debate 1, they would be getting their topics on Monday. So and they would have their debates on Saturday, next Saturday. So the first thing that you all need to do is read a lot. You just type that topic and you will get ample amounts of articles. Learn from those articles, develop an understanding. There is a word of caution here. Do not try to mug up the entire article or just copy out lines. Just read it, develop an understanding, and then write your own points. You can take away facts from it. It's not going to have a problem. So understanding of the topic is very important. Now I would come to the speech part. Look, the speech part, the most important thing is presentation. Two people having the same script, reading it out would have different impact on the organizers or the jury members. The reason for it is that कि एक व्यक्ति अपने आप को बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्रेस कर रहा है, ठीक है? जब कुछ important point आता है, he raises it, he emphasizes on it, on that point, raises his voice, all of that. So what happens is the presentation makes a huge difference. Same content, different presentation is going to have different impact. The second part is always have your debates with proper empirical evidences. What are empirical evidences? Basically factual data. You must have your data, for example, about social media awareness campaigns. One of the biggest social media awareness campaigns that happened was Me Too. Now you must have your facts very well, that if you're in favor of social media activism, you must have, and you present the fact like Me Too was a successful movement of social media activism. You should have the number of people that actually got convicted for sexual offences against women because of the Me Too campaign. If you do not have that data, it's going to have a problem. So having empirical evidences and having logical reasoning. So your debates shouldn't get emotional. It shouldn't turn into a basically news media debate where politicians and spokespersons of political parties shout at each other. So this is very important. We are here so that we can develop our communication skills, not only in English but also in Hindi, because we are also going to have Hindi debates. We are not able to get Hindi organizers currently. You can organize Hindi debates, but we are going to have that. So you should, irrespective of the language, you should be able to express yourself. You should be able to present and be articulate about your facts. For example, I'm personally trying to be more articulate, because if I have to tell you a point, I give a lot of examples and I digress a lot. So that is something that I am personally learning. So being very to the point is very important. The third point that about your presentation part or the speech part is using of short stories or historical or fictional stories. The more you use these kind of stories, the better it's gonna be. Now you can also use proverbs, examples, so that you can emphasize your point better and you can get a very personal connect with that person. Again, being specific and to the point would help you a lot. Look, in most of the debates, a preview or explanation isn't given. But in the last debate, so that you can have a better understanding of the topic, I gave you a preview. But it didn't help a lot because of the fact that people weren't the notice period was short. They weren't sure how was the club going to organize. It was formal, informal. So okay, it happens. Even I did a lot of mistakes while presenting and while organizing that debate. So it happens. उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. We can have all of that. So basically, I will again come to that topic. That was social media activism. So you guys were required to speak about social media activism, and most of them digressed and were out of the topic. It affects you the most. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I have participated in ample number of debates, and I have lost most points. I have lost most of the debates because of the fact that I was always out of the topic. Topic कुछ और पूछ रहा है और मैं कुछ और पे बता रहा हूँ, ठीक है? So it happened again. So a lot of them went off for protest again. It was about activism. They went for protest. It was about social media activism. They went for activism in the real world. So in the physical world. So and not in the virtual world. So all of that happened. So that was some of the points. Now I would come to the fact that how you gonna be for or against the topic. That was also a big problem. Okay. So before I come to that, does anyone has any wants to add up something till here? You all are free to speak. Uh, does anyone would like to? There would be people out here no, who have participated in debates and all of that earlier. So, would you guys want to add up to something currently?
May I?
Yes.
Hi guys, myself Shastrartha and I take part in 2019 and I secured second rank in whole UP in debates. तो मैं कुछ बातें क्लियर करना चाहता हूँ कि हम लोग किस तरह हमारा जो क्लब है किस तरह की डिबेट ऑर्गेनाइज कराएगा। तो देखो डिबेट दो तरह की होती है। पहली जो हम लोग पार्लियामेंट में देखते हैं कि पहले जैसे फाइनेंशियल मिनिस्टर आए और वो अपनी स्पीच देते हैं, फिर उसके बाद अपोजिशन खड़ा होता है और वो उनके कामों को बताता है कि उन्होंने सही किया है गलत किया। और दूसरा होता है जो हम लोग मीडिया में देखते हैं कि साथ में ही हम लोग सपोर्ट भी देखते हैं और साथ में हम लोग अपोजिशन भी देखते हैं। तो जो हमारा क्लब अरेंज करा रहा है वो पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म में कराएगा। मतलब तुम दो लोगों की टीम बनेगी, एक सपोर्ट में आके बोलेगा और एक आके उसके अपोजिशन में बोलेगा। एक को करीबन 4 से 5 मिनट का टाइम दिया जाएगा, ठीक है। तो अपोजिशन और सपोर्ट दोनों को मिला करके 10 मिनट होंगे, टोटल 8 से 10 मिनट। फिर उसके बाद जब हम लोग बोलेंगे तो हम लोगों को एक चीज का सबसे ज्यादा ध्यान रखना है कि स्टार्ट कहाँ से करना है। जैसे अगर हम कहीं पे आप जा रहे हो बोलने के लिए तो वहां पे जो चीफ गेस्ट आएंगे सबसे पहले आपको उन्हें बताना है, ठीक है। फिर उसके बाद आपके जो वहां पे बैठे हो आपको उनको ग्रीट करना है और फिर उसके बाद आपको अपने टॉपिक का इंट्रोडक्शन करना है। वहां पे आपको पार्शियल नहीं होना है। अगर आप सपोर्ट के हो या आप अपोजिशन के हो, आपको इंट्रोडक्शन में उस बात को बताना है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने कहा पॉल्यूशन, ठीक है। अब आपको बताना है कि इंडस्ट्रीज पॉल्यूशन करती हैं या नहीं करती हैं। तो अगर आपको ये बात बतानी है तो जब आप अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दोगे तो आप उसे बिल्कुल नॉर्मल लहजे से उठाओगे, चाहे आप सपोर्ट में बोलो और चाहे आप अपोजिशन में बोलो। फिर उसके बाद आप कौन सी साइड से बोल रहे हो, सपोर्ट में या अपोजिशन में। तो एक बात जो सबसे बड़ी गलती होती है, लोग क्या करते हैं कि पूरा का पूरा विकिपीडिया से छाप लेते हैं। ये गलती मैंने की थी और इसी की वजह से शायद मेरे कुछ नंबर कम हो गए थे, क्योंकि मेरा जो नंबर लगा था बोलने के लिए वो 6वें या 7वें नंबर पे लगा था। तो जब तक मेरा नंबर आया था तब तक मेरे पास बोलने के लिए कुछ बचा ही नहीं था, क्योंकि बाकी लोग ही मेरा आधे से ज्यादा टॉपिक बोल चुके थे। तो हम लोगों को कई बार इंस्टेंट सोचना पड़ता है। तो क्या करो कि फैक्ट्स केवल लेके जाओ, एक स्पीच मत लिखो, केवल थोड़े थोड़े नोट्स बनाओ, शॉर्ट नोट्स, और अपने केवल फैक्ट्स लो, थोड़ी सी रिसर्च करो और वहां पे जाके फैक्ट्स बोलो। जैसे WHO की कोई रिपोर्ट आई, कोई इंडिया में कोई रिपोर्ट आई, तो इन रिपोर्ट्स को केवल तुम्हें जाके बोलना है और बाकी तुम्हारे जो भी टॉपिक होगा वो तुम वहीं पे बना करके बोलो, तो वो ज्यादा एक अच्छा रहेगा। और सबसे बड़ी बात, बी अ गुड लिसनर टू बिकम अ गुड स्पीकर। अपने से पहले जो भी आए उसको ध्यान से सुनो, क्योंकि हो सकता है कि वो कुछ गलत बोलेगा वहां पे और इसके बहुत नंबर मिलते हैं। मतलब हम लोगों के उसमें जो एक लड़की थी जो फर्स्ट आई थी, तो उसके साथ क्या हुआ था कि उसने यही किया था। उसने हम लोगों की गलतियों को इतना अच्छे से पकड़ा था कि हम लोग क्या बोल रहे थे उसे बहुत अच्छे से पता था, और वो आई और वो हमारी गलतियां उसने इतने अच्छे से निकाली कि मुझे लग रहा है शायद उसे सबसे ज्यादा नंबर इसी में मिल गए थे। तो ये बात याद रखना कि अच्छे से सुनो सामने वाले को। और जब इस तरह की जो डिबेट होती है तो उसमें एक चीज होती है कि अपोजिशन के पास हमेशा एक अपर हैंड होता है सपोर्ट के उस पर, क्योंकि सपोर्ट आके पहले अपनी स्पीच देता है और अपोजिशन बाद में देता है। तो तुम में से जो भी सपोर्ट में बोले, ट्राई करना कि जल्दबाजी में कुछ भी गलत मत बोलो, और जो अपोजिशन में बोले वो पहले ध्यान से सुने अपने से सपोर्ट वाले को, क्योंकि तुम्हारी स्पीच ज्यादा से ज्यादा तुम्हारे सपोर्ट वाले पे ही डिपेंड करेगी। वो जो भी कहे तुम्हें उस बात को पकड़ना है। अगर वो कुछ गलत कहता है तुरंत उस बात को बोलो। और सपोर्ट वाले में केवल तुम्हें फैक्ट्स लेकर के जाने हैं, रिसर्च लेकर के जानी है, और जितना भी हो सके वहां पर बोलना। और अगर किसी कोई डाउट हो तो पूछ सकता है कि हमारे क्लब में किस तरह का हम लोग कराएंगे। एनीवन? Okay, I think everybody is sure. So, Akash, please keep it up.
Hmm. So where I had left, so Sashwat presented his points very well. He shared his experience. He came second rank in debating, so that's a great thing. And he emphasized on certain points about being and support or against the motion. So I hope you all have heard him quite well. And so I would continue from where I had left. So about taking sides. So most in the last debates and mostly in the other debates that we are going to organize in the future, we are going to give you the liberty that you personally could choose either you want to be on for or against the motion. So once you choose to be either on support or against the motion, be very sure that there are going to be points that are going to be against it. That is, whichever side arguments you are presenting, there would be certain weak links, there would be certain problems. For example, a topic is industrialization is the future of the country, or industrialization is going to bring economic prosperity to the country. Now, if you are in favor of that motion, the pollution that is being caused or the inequitable growth that has been led out because of industrialization, that would be emphasized by the other side. And that is a very genuine point. That is true that industrialization causes a lot of environmental problems. That industrialization has resulted in formation of slums and filthy rich capitalists and very poor slums. Very poor people living in slums. Now, what you need to emphasize is, you know that you are on the wrong side, and the point raised is genuine. But what would you do at that point? Are you gonna leave it like, okay, there are some weaknesses? No, you're gonna emphasize on the fact that if we do not industrialize, what are the ways in which the people living in slums or in people living in abstract poverty could be driven out of it? What is the economic alternative for it? So you're going to say that the positives of industrialization are way much higher than the negatives of industrialization. That industrialization is a net positive. So once you take a side, you need to defend it at all costs. And this is the most important point. What happened was, when cross questions were being asked to the debaters in the last debate, what happened was, a lot of these students, what they did was, they started emphasizing on the fact that every point has positives and negatives. Yes, social media activism, or whether it be any topic, there will be positives and negatives. That's why it's given in a debate. That's why for and against are there. But you need to emphasize why the positives weigh over the negatives. If you wouldn't be able to do that, that would affect your speech or your debate in a negative way a lot. So again, coming back to the topic, a voice for the voiceless. So if you are in favor, or if you would have been in favor of that topic, you would have been convinced that social media activism is creating a net positive in the society. Now, if it is creating a net positive, you need to emphasize the most on the fact that it provides a voice or a platform for the voiceless. Why? Because categorically it has been mentioned in the topic that social media activism is providing a platform or a voice to the voiceless. Who are the voiceless? The most marginalized sections of our society. The people who generally do not get a platform to present their answers to the world. This is what you're going to emphasize on. Now, if you would have been against the topic that no, it's just a show business on social media, nothing actually happens due to social media activism. What you would have been emphasized on at that point, you would have said that social media activism is just a way of the privileged sections of the society to feel a sense of satisfaction, as they are making people aware of the problems of the most marginalized people. But in reality, it is just virtual signaling. No actual change has ever taken place because of at the grassroots level, because of social media activism. So you needed to focus on the elites using social media activism as a medium of getting clout on the social media, or this is basically their personal PR happening there. So you need to emphasize on that, because that was categorically mentioned in the topic. So be very precise while you are reading the topic. Read it again and again. Try to understand each and every word. Do not mix between the two words. If a topic mentions environmental hazards of industrialization, you need to be very sure that it is environmental issues that are rising. You do not end up in climate change. Now, both are linked, but there is some difference. If there are two words, there are going to be some difference. Even if they are used synonymously, they're going to have some difference. So try to be very particular be very pinpointed in what the topic is saying and what do you want to emphasize on it. So, and be very particular in that. So, basically, the main three things about the speech part that I wanted to tell you was understand the topic very well, read about it, first part. Second, once you have read about it, understand and understood the topic, be very precise in your presentation, be logical, use factual data, and when you're taking a side, be very sure that your side is going to have certain weak links. How you're going to manage those weak links is what differentiates a good debater from a great debater. So this is how it's going. Now I would come to so you need to deep dive into each word that you encounter in your debate topics. Even it would be helpful while you're writing essays or any of the competitive exams. When you get a topic, you need to write an essay, make a speech, or anything. So understanding of the topic, etymologically understanding each word of that topic is very important in that particular perspective. Now I would come towards the last part of it, and that is what cross questions. The most exciting part of a debate, and for which most of the students join in, is cross questioning. You get the first chance to question people about their speech. So one of the most important thing is cross questioning that is going to happen in our debates. Try to not create enemies out of it. We are all just trying to intellectually discuss a topic. It's not about making enemies. So do not use that for taking out personal grievances against someone. So that would be the first advice that I would give. And secondly, try to focus on the question and respond logically and in factual ways. Look, this is the best way of dealing with questions. Understand what the particular person is asking. A lot of times what happens is we have a question in our minds and we end up answering that question itself. कि हमने सुना कि भाई हम लोग ने एक टॉपिक बोला सोशल मीडिया एक्टिविज्म पे, हम लोग फॉर में थे, हम लोग मान के चले कि भाई कोई एक्चुअल चेंज नहीं आता, उसी पे क्वेश्चन आएगा और तुमने उसी का जवाब दे दिया और सवाल कुछ और ही पूछ रहे थे. तो that shouldn't happen. Be very specific. Be good listeners. As Shashwat has earlier mentioned, be good listeners while you're encountering questions. And I would so this is what you could do when you are on the right side. That is when you are in a situation where you have factual and logical arguments to support your point. This is why I focused a lot on reading. You might not be able to remember or put in your 4 minutes of speech, put in all those like 10 articles, 15 articles that you read, or 2 or 3 YouTube videos that you watched about that topic. You're not going to be able to do that. So what you are going to do is, it would build an understanding about you. Always listen to the pros and the cons of a particular topic. So if you're even in favor of that topic of social media activism, also read on articles on or against the social media activism. What would happen is you would be able to understand people who are against it, people who do not consider social media activism as a great way of making people aware or bringing about social change. What do they think? Now create counters in your mind for that and be prepared for that. Now, but there would be situations where you wouldn't be at the place where your point wouldn't be supported by most logical arguments or factual data. मान लो आपने डिबेट कर रहे हो और आप ऐसे सिचुएशन में फंस गए जहाँ पे आपको समझ में आ रहा है काफी क्लियरली कि आप तो गलत साइड पे हो, ठीक है. और यही जो है सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट होता है जिसको मैं एम्फसाइज करना चाहता था कि आप इस सिचुएशन में आप करोगे क्या. अब आपके पास 2 ऑप्शन, या तो आप मान लो, लेकिन फिर अगर आप मान लोगे तो वो डिस्कशन हो जाएगा ना. हम लोग तो डिबेट कर रहे हैं, तो अब डिबेट कर रहे हैं तो अपनी गलती माननी नहीं होती. डिबेट मतलब इवन इफ यू आर ऑन द रॉन्ग साइड, what you're going to do is you need to use certain tactics ताकि आप पॉइंट स्कोर कर लो, या फिर अगर जो आपके पॉइंट्स कट रहे हैं क्योंकि आप सवाल में फंस गए तो आपको वो नहीं फंसना है, ठीक है. उसके लिए जो है मैंने पर्टिकुलरली कुछ टेक्निक्स यहाँ पे पर्टिकुलरली रखी है. सो ये जो टेक्निक्स है बेसिकली ये अगर कोई इंटरनेशनल मीडिया फॉलो करता है, खासकर अमेरिकन पॉलिटिक्स, ही वुड बी अवेयर ऑफ अ पर्सन नेम्ड बेन शेपेरियो. Kindly do not get into the political leanings of it. So I am no supporter of Ben Shapiro, but I am an admirer of his debating skills. So these are his techniques. So plagiarism का इल्जाम मत लगा देना मेरे ऊपर बाद में, मैं पहले ही कैटेगोरिकली बता दे रहा हूँ कि ये उसकी टेक्निक्स, ठीक है. So one of the first and the foremost technique is catching non-arguments. A lot of time when you are questioned for your speech, we face a lot of arguments. Okay? That person brings in a lot of arguments. But what do we need to do is there would be certain non-arguments. What are non-arguments? A non-argument is particularly an argument which doesn't have much of factual basis but more of an emotional appeal. For example, Gandhiji said that industrialization is an evil for the society because it renders a lot of people unemployed. True. Now, if someone brings in this argument, it is a non-argument because just because Gandhiji said something and Gandhiji is a great individual doesn't mean that that particular argument is true. Because if we see the empirical data, America is more industrialized than India, China is more industrialized than India, and which country has the most unemployment as compared to among the three countries? India. So was Gandhiji right? No. So just because Gandhiji or a particular individual said something doesn't categorically means that that particular point is true. He wasn't an industrialist. He wasn't an economist. He was a social reformer or a politician or a lawyer. So this is a non-argument. 9 out of 10 doctors say president is the best toothpaste. It doesn't prove anything because the factual basis of it is weak. Secondly, just because some individuals have said it, some individuals of authority have said it, that doesn't make it a logical argument. It is a non-argument. So what you need to do is, you do not focus on that person's question. आप जाओ और आप बोलो कि ये तुम्हारा नॉन आर्ग्यूमेंट है, ठीक है, तो तुम इसको पहले कैसे डिफेंड करोगे? दिस इज द फर्स्ट वे. नाउ सेकंड थिंग इज पुशिंग फॉर स्पेसिफिक्स. आपसे जब सवाल पूछा जाएगा तो क्या करेंगे वो लोग, या फिर जब आप सवाल पूछो तो जब कोई भी ब्रॉड पॉइंट्स बोले जाए, कोई भी ब्रॉड पॉइंट्स बोले जाए, तो तुम स्पेसिफिक्स की तरफ जाओ, तुम लॉजिक की तरफ जाओ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर एक टॉपिक मिल गया तुम्हें कि टेल अस अबाउट children being raised in broken families or divorced families can they have mental health issues, ठीक है? Now that can be a point. So now it is a basic, what are the specifics for it? It is a blanket statement. Okay, we all have watched it in films that people who are children in broken families have mental health issues or they are lonely and all of that. It might be true. It might be true for some people, but what is the percentage? What is the factual data behind it? Which psychological research, prestigious statistical research or psychological research institution has categorically said that this is a factual thing. So what you would do in this situation is you ask the person for specifics. आपके सामने कोई इमोशनल अपील लेके आ रहा है कि इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन से तो नेट हार नहीं होता है, तो आप उसको बता सकते हो कि जब इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन नहीं होता है और लोग पेड़ काट के फिर उसको नॉर्मली एज फ्यूल वुड यूज करते हैं, तो उस टाइम पे एयर पॉल्यूशन नहीं होता. तो क्या, तो बेसिकली ये सारे आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हैं, ठीक है. तो जो इमोशनल अपील है, ब्लैंकेट अपील है, और मैक्सिमम जो डिफॉरेस्टेशन होता है क्या, तो उसमें बहुत बड़ा हाथ होता है कि आप फायरवुड के लिए लेके जाते हैं लोग, और ये तो भाई इंडियन फॉरेस्ट सर्वे में भी इसको एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट माना गया था कि फॉरेस्ट सर्वे में वो लोग बोल रहे थे कि बहुत ज्यादा जो है ट्राइबल्स एंड नॉर्मल लोग जो है फायरवुड के लिए लेके चले जाते, पेड़ काट देते, तो वो तो एक ज्यादा बड़ा इशू हो गया. और फायरवुड क्यों यूज किया जा रहा है? क्योंकि इंडस्ट्रियलाइज सोसाइटी नहीं है, क्योंकि आप एलपीजी प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पा रहे, आप कहते हैं क्लीनर सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी नहीं दे पा रहे लोगों को. तो you from blanket statement you came from specifics, and being on specifics is very important if you are facing such questions. Now I would like to come to the third point. So what is the third point? The third point is basically knowing your arguments inside and out. So what happens is this is very important while you are encountering such a situation is you need to be very aware of what you have spoken in your speech. A lot of times what happens is that you write a lot of things that are not logical or factually correct, and you write it just for the emotional appeal of it. What happens is the person in front of you debating with you would use these arguments against you. He would just focus on the fact that you have a logically incorrect argument in your speech. What would happen in that situation is you would end up being stuck and you wouldn't be able to comprehend that situation, and it would be the worst place to be at. I have been stuck in this situation a lot of times in debates कि भाई हमने कुछ बोल दिया, ठीक है, उसके बाद फिर हमें रियलाइज हुआ कि यार ये तो डिफेंड ही नहीं हो रहा। ठीक है, अब जब आपको पता चलता है ये तो डिफेंड ही नहीं हो रहा, तो फिर आप हकलाने लग जाते हो, और मैं नेचुरली हकलाता हूँ, तो फिर वो एक स्टैंडर्डिंग जो है हमारी स्टार्ट हो जाएगी। तो उस सिचुएशन से बचने के लिए क्या करना है, आप अपने आर्गुमेंट्स को इनसाइड आउट जानो। ठीक है, चाहे आप एक आर्गुमेंट प्रेजेंट कर रहे हो अपने स्पीच में या अपने आंसर्स में, बी वेरी श्योर कि ये आर्गुमेंट तो सही है। ठीक है, उसको सपोर्ट करने की लॉजिकल बेसिस, और अगर नहीं हो तो थोड़ा कम बोलो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कम बोलने पे नहीं मार्क्स आते, गलत बोलने पे मार्क्स कटते हैं। ठीक है, उसके बाद फिर चौथा पॉइंट जो है यूजिंग ऑफ स्नग प्रीमाइसेस, ये बहुत मजेदार चीज है। ठीक है, अब स्नग प्रीमाइसेस क्या होता है, जब तुम क्वेश्चन करते हो किसी को, और ये बेसिकली जो मैंने पहले 3 बताए थे डिफेंसिव टेक्निक्स की, ये थोड़ा जो है एग्रेसिव टेक्निक होता है। ठीक है, जब तुम क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो तो व्हाट इज अ स्नग प्रीमाइस। स्नग प्रीमाइस क्या होता है कि in this technique you try to sneak in a premise, a point that you want your opponent to keep referring to, knowing that it is basically your strong point and you're going to benefit if that premise or argument becomes the center of the discussion. It is one of the most important things you could do. It is one of the best things. इसमें क्या करना है, एक premise डाल दो। अब एग्जाम्पल के हिसाब से आप जो है, आप जब कोई क्वेश्चन हो गया फार्म लॉस के ऊपर, नाउ उस डिबेट में आप क्वेश्चन में आप इंडिविजुअल का नाम यूज करके एक फार्मर का, जो फार्मर्स प्रोटेस्ट में जिसकी डेथ हो गई, प्रोटेस्ट करते थे क्योंकि वहां पे बेसिकली ठंड बहुत ज्यादा थी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट। नाउ द मोमेंट यू ब्रिंग इन दैट प्रेमाइस, सामने वाला बहुत फंस जाता है। ठीक है, क्यों फंस जाता है, क्योंकि अब समवन हैज डाइड, अब आप इसको कैसे काउंटर करोगे। ठीक है, देयर इज नो वे टू काउंटर इट। ठीक है, देयर इज अ लॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन कि प्रोटेस्ट इंडिविजुअल्स पर्टिकुलरली खुद से करते हैं तो स्टेट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं बनती, लेकिन फिर आप कहां तक बोलोगे स्टेट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं बनती। तो नाउ दिस इज अ प्रेमाइस यू हैव स्नग्ड इन। ठीक है, कि आपने जानबूझ के एक छुपके से एक प्रेमाइस डाल दिया, और आपका डिबेट, अब आपका जो क्वेश्चनिंग है वो उसी के अराउंड घूम रहा है। अब उसको नहीं पता चला, सामने वाले को, आपके डिबेटर को, कि वो इस प्रेमाइस पे फंस गया। अब ये प्रेमाइस आपका स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट है, आपको पता है कि इस पॉइंट पे अगर डिबेट जितना घूमेगा आप पॉइंट्स गेन करोगे और वो लूज करेगा। तो आपको जानबूझकर ऐसे प्रेमाइसेस को इंक्लूड करते रहना है। ठीक है, आप जानबूझ के ऐसे फैक्चुअल डेटा, ऐसी चीजें लेके आओ, ठीक है, जिससे आपको ये सारी चीजें पता चले। इन्वायरमेंटल हजार्ड जो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन के हैं, आप एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया का, और बहुत सारे एरियाज होते हैं, जैसे कि मैं झारखंड से आता हूँ, सो देयर इज अ प्लेस कॉल्ड जादूगोड़ा, आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर। तो यूरेनियम माइनिंग होती है गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा, और उसमें होता क्या है, क्योंकि वहां पे डिपोजिट्स हैं और ऑल ऑफ दैट, तो वो यूरेनियम कई बार पानी में आ जाता है, और उसकी वजह से जो है वहां पे जो बच्चे हैं उनके जो है बहुत ज्यादा जेनेटिक प्रॉब्लम्स आ जाती हैं, और जो बेसिकली जो आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर ऑफ द वर्ड, बेसिकली जो रेडिएशन का जो प्रॉब्लम होता है वो आ जाता है बच्चों के। नाउ अगर कोई इंसान ये प्रेमाइस नक कर दिया, कहते उसे इंक्लूड कर दिया, नाउ इस प्रेमाइस से डील करना बहुत मुश्किल है। ठीक है, देयर इज नो वे द अदर पर्सन कुड बी लाइक कि नहीं ये तो चलता है। ठीक है, सो इट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स कि स्नकिंग इन प्रेमाइसेस दैट वुड फेच यू मोर मार्क्स, और उसके अराउंड ही अपना पूरा डिबेट को रिवॉल्व करवाना। ठीक है, नाउ फिफ्थ पॉइंट जो मैं एम्फसाइज करना चाहूंगा वो होगा मूविंग फ्रॉम एब्स्ट्रैक्ट टू कॉन्क्रीट, यूज स्पेसिफिक एग्जांपल्स टू प्रूव योर पॉइंट। ठीक है, rather than going towards emotional or generalized or blanket arguments against your opponent, the best way is to ask that person what is the concrete basis of that question. Do not come up with, if the other person is countering you with blanket statements कि ये तो होता ही है, ठीक है, तो ask him कौन से डेटा में लिखा है। ठीक है, which particular institution has said it, institution of authority has said it. So what happens in that situation is you go towards very concrete factual points, and what would help you in factual points if you're on the stronger point. ठीक है, now the sixth point is very important, जब आप पूरे ही फंस गए हो। ठीक है, there is no way you are gonna get out of this situation, you know कि भाई अब तो गए। So what happens in such a situation is either you stop speaking or you start stammering, or what would happen is you agree with that other person completely कि आपका पोजीशन गलत है। तो दैट इज द एंड ऑफ योर डिबेट, बेसिकली कि आपने मान लिया कि आपका पोजीशन जो है, आपका टोटल पोजीशन जो था वो गलत था। ठीक है, कि सोशल मीडिया एक्टिविज्म के आप अगेंस्ट कुछ बोल रहे थे या फॉर में कुछ बोल रहे थे, सामने वाले ने पॉइंट्स रखे, आप जवाब नहीं दे पाए, तो आप मान लिए कि हाँ कि सोशल मीडिया एक्टिविज्म जो है वो मेरा जो साइड था वो गलत है. सो इस सिचुएशन में आपको करना है, यू नीड टू एम्फसाइज ऑन द कंडीशंस अंडर व्हिच यू वुड एग्री विद योर ओपोनेंट्स, कि दीज आर द कंडीशंस, आई एम रेडी टू एग्री विद योर पॉइंट, these are the conditions, you need to fulfill these logical conditions. So being agreeable, what would happen in that situation is you would present a particular point at which people are going to agree with you. These are the very particular points on which I'm going to agree with you. If you can satisfy me on these points, I would agree on you categorically. But if you're not able to do that, you would be on the losing side. So what would happen is you would agree on certain points and disagree on other points, and you could on the larger scale or on the blanket statement say that my point is correct because even if I'm agreeing on these points, on the larger spectrum of it or on the larger picture of it, I am on the correct side. So this is something more important. So what would happen in such a situation is the person your opponent isn't able to grasp the bigger picture of it. So if he or she is not gonna grasp the bigger picture, what would happen is they would agree with you and you could have lost more points, but you end up losing lesser points, or you could even gain points if you can prove that in that particular context it is wrong, but on the larger picture it is correct. तो इसके लिए बेस्ट एग्जांपल था मैरिटल रेप का. ठीक है, मैरिटल रेप के ऊपर जब भी लॉज बनने की बात होती है तो आप मान लो फेवर में हो कि मैरिटल रेप के ऊपर लॉज बनने चाहिए. ठीक है, इट शुड बी क्रिमिनलाइज्ड. व्हाट हैपेंस इज सामने वाला व्यक्ति जो है एम्फसाइज करता है कि इतने सारे डाउरी लॉज जो उसका रैम्पेड मिसयूज है. ठीक है, उसका एम्पिरिकल एविडेंस है कि भाई ये लॉ कमीशन ने बोला था इतना ज्यादा इस व्यक्ति ने पर्टिकुलरली एक जज ने पर्टिकुलरली कैटेगोरिकली कहा था इतना ज्यादा गलती है, इतना ज्यादा मिसयूज हुआ है डाउरी लॉ का. तो आपके पास तो कोई लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन नहीं, तो आप इस टाइम पे अग्री कर सकते हो. ठीक है, यू कैन अग्री ऑन द स्पेसिफिक्स कि मिसयूज होता है. ठीक है, बट यू कुड फोकस ऑन पॉक्सो एक्ट का मिसयूज होता है, यूएपीए का मिसयूज होता है. ठीक है, इवन सेडिशन लॉज का एवरी अदर लॉ इज मिसयूज्ड. सो अगर पॉक्सो आप बनाते हो ये बोलकर कि मिसयूज होता है लेकिन बच्चों को सेक्सुअल एक्सप्लॉयटेशन से बचाना ज्यादा जरूरी है, तो आप उस लॉ को कंटिन्यू करते हो. आप यूएपीए का मिसयूज देखते हो, कन्विक्शन रेट इतना कम है, फिर भी आप यूएपीए को कंटिन्यू करते हो कि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो आप मैरिटल रेप पे सेम लॉ क्यों नहीं बना पा रहे? ये सेम आप आर्गुमेंट नहीं दे रहे हो कि भाई कहते हैं मिसयूज होगा, मिसयूज को कम करने के लिए सजेशन चलेंगे, लेकिन लॉ तो बनना चाहिए क्योंकि वो तो भाई इवन नेपाल में क्रिमिनलाइज. तो व्हाट हैपेंड इन दैट सिचुएशन इज पर्टिकुलरली कि यू अग्रीड कि मिसयूज होता है, बट यू एम्फसाइज्ड ऑन द पॉइंट कि क्या मिसयूज होने से लॉ बनना कंप्लीटली गलत हो गया? क्या किसी लॉ का मिसयूज होता है तो उस लॉ को कंप्लीटली हटा देना चाहिए, स्क्रैप ऑफ कर देना चाहिए. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. ठीक है, नाउ क्वेश्चनिंग में आप क्या यूज कर सकते हो? क्वेश्चनिंग में बहुत जल्दी से जाऊंगा, फिर हम लोग Q&A रखते हैं. ठीक है, ताकि हम लोग थोड़ा बातचीत कर सके. ये बहुत ज्यादा मोनोलॉगिश हो गया. आई फील लाइक प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ द कंट्री करेंटली, सो इट्स फनी. तो देखो, व्हेन यू आर आस्किंग क्वेश्चन एंड द बेस्ट वे टू आस्क टफ क्वेश्चन is using 4 techniques. The first one is Strawman's argument. What is a Strawman's argument? Basically जब आप कोई क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो तो आप उस व्यक्ति के स्पीच में से जो सबसे एक्सट्रीम बात होती है, ठीक है, उसको आप उठाओ और बोलो कि ये तुम्हारा पूरा आर्ग्यूमेंट है. ठीक है, ये लॉजिकल फैलेसी होती है लेकिन डिबेट में पकड़ाता नहीं है, और डिबेट में आप बेसिकली थोड़े गलत टेक्निक्स यूज करते हो. मोस्टली ये गलत टेक्निक्स कुछ नहीं होता, बेसिकली इट्स मोर अबाउट you using arguments that make you win or make the other side look more vulnerable or on the being more logically incorrect. So what you do, for example, किसी ने बोल दिया कि भाई फार्म लॉज के वो अगेंस्ट बोल रहा था, उसने बोल दिया कि फार्म लॉज will end up making the farmers landless. बोल दिया स्पीच में. अब तुम इस आर्गुमेंट को क्वेश्चन पूछो और बोलो कैसे. तुम बोलो उस पूरे लॉ के अंदर कहां पे फार्मर्स के लैंड जाने की बात लिखी हुई है. अब व्हाट वुड हैपन इज आपने उस एक आर्गुमेंट को पकड़ा और उसका पूरा स्पीच को उसी के अराउंड रिवॉल्व करवा दिया, और आपका क्वेश्चन जो है इतना टफ हो जाएगा कि वो आदमी जब भी वो स्केप करने की कोशिश करे, यू विल ऑलवेज कम बैक टू नहीं, आप स्पेसिफिक्स बताओ ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर लॉ. ठीक है. नाउ व्हाट वुड हैपन, he or she is stuck like anything. ठीक है. there is no way out of it. ठीक है. The second, so this is what a strawman argument is. extreme statements उठाओ किसी particular debate के speech के, आप अपने opponent के, और बोलो कि इसको जो है तुम justify करके दिखाओ, इसको factually correct मेरे को prove करके दिखाओ, नहीं तो तुम्हारा पूरा argument जो है वो इतना ही extremist है. उसके बाद आता है cherry picking. cherry picking भी similar चीज होता है. तो तुम जो है particular जो है context हटाकर तुम क्वेश्चन पूछोगे और पूछोगे ये कैसे तुमने कह दिया. फॉर सेम आर्गुमेंट यहाँ पे भी यूज हो सकता है कि फार्मर्स विल टेक दी वुड रेंडर दी फार्मर्स लैंडलेस. नाउ आपने ये पूछ लिया कि लैंडलेस कैसे करेंगे और उस पॉइंट पे एम्फसाइज करो. सेम शेरी पिकिंग. ठीक है. तो ये बहुत सिमिलर होता है स्ट्रॉमैन आर्गुमेंट, शेरी पिकिंग. ठीक है. थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस होता है. उसके बाद फिर द थर्ड पॉइंट इज व्हाटअबाउटरी. सो व्हाटअबाउटरी में क्या होता है बेसिकली, what happens is कि आप एक पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट के ऊपर एम्फसाइज कर रहे होते हो और आप बोलते हो कि दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट इज बेसिकली व्हाटअबाउटरी का वर्ड का मैं ओरिजिन बता देता हूँ. तो यूएसएसआर के टाइम पे व्हाटअबाउटरी टर्म बहुत ज्यादा यूज होता था. तो यूएसएसआर के अंदर बहुत ज्यादा रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थे सिविल राइट्स को लेकर, और अमेरिका में भी कुछ रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थे. तो यूएसएसआर के लोग हमेशा ये क्लेम करते थे कि रिस्ट्रिक्शंस दोनों जगह, इसलिए जो इतने सुपीरियर और इतने ज्यादा हार्श रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगे हुए थे और सिविल लिबर्टीज के ऊपर यूएसएसआर में, और जो थोड़े बहुत रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थे अमेरिका में, दोनों सेम. तो लिविंग कंडीशंस इन अमेरिका एंड रशिया आर सेम बिकॉज दोनों जगह पे रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थे सिविल लिबर्टीज पे. सो व्हाट मेड इट डिफरेंट, या इसको बेटर अंडरस्टैंड करना है तो अमेरिका, इंडिया और पाकिस्तान तीनों डेमोक्रेसीज है. ठीक है. और तीनों लेकिन तीनों की डेमोक्रेसीज फ्लॉड है थोड़ी बहुत. नाउ अगर कोई इंसान व्हाटअबाउटरी करेगा तो वो यही बोलेगा कि क्योंकि तो वो व्हाटअबाउटरी में यही बोलेगा कि क्योंकि पाकिस्तान की डेमोक्रेसी खराब है इसलिए इंडिया भी खराब है, तो उतना ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ठीक है. यानी कि आप बोल रहे हो कि इट इज बेसिकली व्हाट अबाउट दैट. ठीक है. मान लो कि गुजरात राइट्स हुए और कश्मीरी पंडित को वहां से कश्मीर से भगाया गया, तो अब कोई व्हाटअबाउटरी में ये बोल सकता है क्योंकि कश्मीरी पंडित को वहां से भगाया गया तो गुजरात राइट्स वाज जस्टिफाइड. तो ये कोई टू ब्लैक्स नॉट मेक राइट ना, कि भाई राइट्स भी गलत थे और वहां पे जो उनको भगाया गया वो भी गलत था, उनके साथ जो वायलेंस हुई, तो वायलेंस तो गलत होता है इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ किसके साथ हुआ. ठीक है. तो एक वायलेंस दूसरा वायलेंस का जस्टिफिकेशन नहीं होता. इसको व्हाटअबाउटरी बोलते हैं. तो अगर कोई व्यक्ति व्हाटअबाउटरी कर रहा है अपने स्पीच में तो तुम उसको कॉल आउट कर सकते हो अपने क्वेश्चन से. ठीक है. ये हो गया तीसरा पॉइंट. चौथा पॉइंट था अबाउट फॉल्स इक्विवेलेंसेस. फॉल्स इक्विवेलेंसेस वाला एग्जांपल मैंने थोड़ा पहले यूज किया. तो बेसिकली वही सेम एग्जांपल ऑफ इंडिया, पाकिस्तान एंड United States of America being democracies. All three of them democracies. But America is a better democracy than India. It is well accepted fact because of the fact that they have more checks and balances and their constitution categorically mentions a lot of things as compared to the Indian democracy. And even the party democracy in Republican and Democratic Party in America is far superior as compared to India. It is a well-established fact. We can debate a bit about it, but it is a well-established fact. And Pakistani democracy is Pakistani democracy, best in the world. So basically, I think it is the worst kind of democracy that people could have, and military has a lot of interference. But all the three democracies have certain problems. Indian, we are aware of it. About USA, we saw the riots happened, and the president Donald Trump not agreeing to leave his position power even after losing that ship. So that exposed the problems of American democracy. And Pakistani democracy, it's the boys are pretty well currently. So no particular prime minister in Pakistan is able to be in power for complete 5-year terms. So great democracy. So like always. So what happens is someone could say that all the three democracies are problematic. True. All the three have certain problems. True. But the degree of problem varies, na? Okay? The degree of problem varies. And so this is what false equivalence is. False equivalence is saying American, Indian and Pakistani democracies are just the same. No, they are not. They are all democracies having certain problems, but the level of problem, the degree of problem varies to a huge degree. It varies to a huge degree. And if someone is trying to make such false equivalences in his or her speech, you can just point out that, and you can earn a simple point. You can just call out कि भाई आप false equivalence कर रहे हैं, and you can use these terms very simply कि false equivalence हो रहा है. ठीक है, जैसे what about है तो आप सिंपली कॉल आउट कर सकते हो. यहाँ पे जो आपने एग्जांपल यूज किया दैट इज what about. ठीक है, टू ब्लैक्स नॉट मेक अ वाइट. ठीक है, आप क्लियरली कह सकते हो आप फॉल्स इक्विवेलेंस दे रहे हो. ठीक है, कि क्या कहते हैं दो डेमोक्रेसी क्योंकि उनमें प्रॉब्लम है वो एक नहीं हो जाती क्योंकि डिग्री ऑफ प्रॉब्लम बहुत ज्यादा वेरी करता है. ठीक है, तो ये बेसिकली तुम्हारे क्वेश्चनिंग के पार्ट आते हैं. तो दिस इज व्हाट आई wanted to speak about. So I hope I would have contributed, and I have learned a lot from Sarthak particularly, and Gaurav also, he has contributed towards this entire program. So it was a great experience for me. I hope you learned a bit from me. Do not take it as like a monologue or a lecture. It was more of an interactive session. So we would start the interactive part of it. I just wanted to share what I have learned, and now the students who have participated in debates earlier on, in any kind of debates, in school debates, colony debates, any of such kind of debates, and they have certain experiences regarding it, I would like them to, they also come up and share the experiences, so that it could be a learning experience for me also, so and all of the other people. So they can raise their hands in the comments,